Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Without Permission. I'm your friend and your host, Renee Spencer, and thank you so much for being here. Last week, we left off talking about the procedure that I had where it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and I spiraled. I took it out on my family, my kids, their father, my household. I slept, I got depressed, I lashed out. It was bad. And it was a big learning lesson for me on how to handle future situations that aren't in my control. But with that being said, I did have my follow-up appointment with the doctor. And I know I told you guys that I would be telling you a little bit about it. And so I took my children with me. They were so excited to go in and talk to the doctor or just see the whole process. And you can't lash out at a doctor and with your children there. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I wasn't going to lash out anyways. I learned the hard lesson of some things you can't control and some things you can. And when life stretches and pulls you in different directions than you wanted to go, you have two choices. You can become a victim or you can make the best out of where you are now. And so that's what I did. But with all of that being said, I did ask him where the miscommunication happened. And like I assumed, I just don't think he heard me, guys. Like, I don't know if I was wrong in how I communicated or I wasn't clear enough, but at the end of the day, he thought we were 100% going for both lumps. I thought we were only going for one, maybe two if the one looked suspicious. So there definitely was two different thought processes of what we were doing. And you know what? We ended on a great note. And we saw each other at the gym that same exact day and we fist bumped and it's great. Okay. This just goes to show you there's two outcomes that could totally happen. One, you could become a victim. You can lash out. You can, create animosity between you and other people when things don't go your way. Or you can choose to grow and to acknowledge the frustration, acknowledge the unfairness of some situations, and then choose to let it go. Let go of the anger and choose to focus on, well, what can I do now? So for me, what I can do now is I can give grace to a doctor where there was a miscommunication, and I can find ways to minimize my scarring. And guess what? If you listened to last week's episode, you know that one of my biggest frustrations and concern was that I wouldn't be able to wear like my jeans or my leggings because it would hurt these scars. And guess what? I'm wearing jeans right now, recording this episode, and I have zero pain. So all of that frustration and all of that resentment that I had for like those 3 days was absolutely for nothing, okay? I was mean to people around me, I was mean to myself, and I was going to be mean to the doctor for absolutely nothing, okay? So sometimes we handle situations poorly and we have to acknowledge these patterns and these behaviors within ourselves so that way we can stop hurting not only the people around us, but ourselves as well. So that was a really hard learning lesson, but that was the follow-up appointment. It went great. And I'm really thankful for that whole experience because honestly, it taught me a lot about myself. I'm just so thankful for this platform because I get to be vulnerable and share all of my ugly moments with you guys so that we can grow together. Today's episode is kind of one a little bit close to my heart and gets me a little bit emotional. Today's episode is about friendships. And what inspired me to do this episode was honestly my daughter. And it's one thing to experience friendship and the heartbreak of friendship for yourself. It's another when you're watching your kids go through it. Oh, and for me, it makes me want to like sucker punch these kids. Like truly. Or like egg their parents' houses. Like, come on, people, raise better kids. That's my first response, okay? It's not healthy. I know. But all of this to say is what I've learned the most doing this podcast is everything in life is a lesson, and everything in life is a chance for you to grow and become better and to show up for yourself better. And when you can show up for yourself better, you show up for other people better. So let me give you the backstory. We moved into a neighborhood with lots of beautiful children, okay? I have never had a neighborhood so involved, so connected. They show up for each other, and it's beautiful. I raised my daughter for the first 6 years of her life in retirement neighborhoods where she was the only child, and it was devastating. All she had to play with was herself. So moving to this neighborhood has been quite the change for us, and I absolutely love it. I love having kids knocking at my door 24/7, and I just love watching all the kids play. It's so fun. However, like any bunch of people, there are going to be people who don't like you, and there will be times when you get left out, and it sucks, and it hurts, and it makes you kind of question, well, what's wrong with me, right? And this is what happened with my daughter. There's a bunch of girls the same age, and one of them just doesn't like her. And we honestly don't even know why. To be truthful, like from the moment we were neighbors, it was like my daughter would be just begging for her to play, and she would just blatantly ignore her. Like literally, I'm not kidding. She would just act like her existence was not there. And then after about a year of that, she would start rallying other girls or other children against my daughter. My daughter is the type of sweet soul that just wants to love everybody. It doesn't matter if you are 2 years old or 50 years old. She will make you her friend, and she will adopt you as her sister or her brother. And when she doesn't get that in return, it's devastating to her. And over the last couple of years, I've just kind of watched this eat away at her soul and tug away at her heart. We had to learn over the last year that you have to choose people who choose you. And you are not going to be for everyone. And sometimes you're not going to even know why that person doesn't like you. And most of the time, it's because they see in you what they want for themselves, and they are insecure and envious, and they don't know how to place that feeling. So then they end up just kind of projecting this hatred towards you. And so I had to teach my daughter. I mean, it's been a couple of years of dealing with this, in which just constant conversations that we're having about friendship and about not losing yourself and not looking at yourself as the problem in these situations. And instead of asking what's wrong with me, we need to ask the question, well, what is wrong with them? Right? Because a lot of times it has nothing to do with us, why people don't like us and why people are mean to us. It's usually a deep, safe self-hatred for themselves, or maybe their family situation. And you just never know, right? You never know. But the last thing you should be doing is asking what's wrong with me. But that's really hard for kids, because in a child's world, their friends are their everything. And as we all know, the dynamic of schools and popularity and I mean, their whole world just revolves around like who's friends with who. And they can't see that when they get older, there's beauty in not being for everybody. And there's beauty in being your authentic self, no matter who chooses to choose you. All that to say, guys, we were walking, right? So we're on this walk. And my daughter sees one of her friends, and she sees this girl who has left her out so many times and has rallied people against her. And she sees them playing, and she tries to say hi, and she kind of waves at the girls, and she shouts their names, and they both kind of look over at her, and then one with hesitation looks back and feels a little uncomfortable because, she's put in this place between a rock and a hard spot of, well, I'm friends with both, but one doesn't want me to be the other friend, and the other one I know is hurt by this, and how do I fit into this circle? And it's just a really unfair place to be. That kind of puts you in the middle of a situation like that. I'm watching this all unfold, right? and I'm pushing the baby stroller, and I have my son to my right, and I have my daughter to my left. And then, I just watched this excitement of seeing these girls go from so much joy, so much excitement. Oh my gosh, my friends are out. I get to wave. I get to say hi to, oh, they're not interested in saying hi to me. And she looks over at me, and I could just see the just devastation and heartache inside her sweet soul. And as a mom, it just made me want to go like drop, just like I can't even say what I wanted to do, okay? I had a lot of thoughts. We ended up going around the corner, and I sat her down, and I'm like, honey, you have to choose people who choose you. And you are still chasing somebody who has proven to you time and time again that they don't want to be your friend. And I know that hurts so bad. And I know that your heart is aching and you just want to be loved. But you know what is most important is to make sure you walk away loving yourself. And the best way you can love yourself is by choosing people that choose you. Do you want a friend who is mean to you and rallies people against you? No, you don't. Do you want a friend that gossips about you, and anytime they're around you, they're gossiping about the other friend, and anytime they're around that other friend, they're gossiping about another friend? No, you don't. It's just so funny because all of this plays out in these little kids, right? It starts so young, and you're just like, how does it start so young? But at the same time, it's also in every one of our lives. Like, every one of us could probably relate to this story, whether it's in our career, where we went to college, in high school, like in the neighborhood. There are going to be people in every single environment who do not choose you, who do not like you, and you are not going to be for everyone. And having to constantly instill this into my daughter that it is a good thing to not be for everyone is probably one of the most heartbreaking things as a parent, because one, it's just like, yeah, you should be loving my daughter, you little shit. She's a good kid and she's never done anything to you. And on the other hand, it's like, that's not reality. And it's so painful and it's hard to accept, but the sooner you can accept it and the sooner you can build your self-worth and self-growth and confidence in who you are as a person and what you have to offer, people like that, you end up becoming excited for their exit. You're like, you know what? I don't even want to wave at you when I walk by because I know what I bring to the table and I know what type of standard I have for a friendship, and you're not it. Like, you're not it. And a lot of times we have so much grief that we have to process in these situations, and we have to learn that true friends, they don't leave you out on purpose. So the little girl who you're just desperate for the friendship, she was never your friend to begin with, honey. And you don't have to twist yourself into a version of somebody that you're not to fit into somebody else's perception of who you need to be for them to be your friend. And how often do we adults struggle with this exact thing? It's like our constant chase for being included, being invited, added to the group chat. And sometimes people are going to leave you out, and it's going to suck and it's going to hurt, but you cannot make it a reflection of your worth. You have to know it's a reflection of their character, their priorities, or even their stages of life. And so what I want my first point to be with telling you this situation about my daughter is, if someone doesn't choose you, you still have the option to choose yourself. And not only that, but we teach people how to treat us by what we're willing to tolerate. And friendship is not about begging for a seat at anybody's table. It's just not. And if somebody only treats you well for convenience, or because nobody else is around, or when they need something, or to be their emotional support system only, This is not a true friendship. So teach your kids, but not only your kids, teach yourself that true friends, they make space for you, okay? True friends don't make you beg. And that you don't need a million friends. You just need a few real friends. And as a child, I think I was probably just like this. I mean, I remember a lot of similar situations. And I remember my dad telling me, Rini, you would rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. And how true is that? And it's so hard to remember that not every single person we meet is going to be our friend. Or do we want to be our friend? And that's okay. And the second hard truth about friendships that I've really had to learn in the past, several years is people are going to come and they're going to go. And let me tell you, I had the most unrealistic expectations for my friends. I set the standard for how I show up as a friend so high. I could truly say that I don't think I know a single person who's as loyal to their friends as I am. And I'm not trying to say that in like an egotistical or like I'm better than you type person. I didn't have family growing up. I didn't have siblings that I was close to. I didn't have a parent that I could rely on. I moved away at a very young age. And so if you got to the place where I would call you my friend, at that point, you will know that I am the absolute most loyal person in your entire life. You need me, call me at 3 a.m., I'll bring the shovel. Like it's actually probably pretty codependent if I just want to be honest. And so I had to learn that people come and go, and not everybody is going to be your standard of the friendship that you offer. And that doesn't make them a bad friend. And everybody has different seasons of life. And I want to tell you guys, like one of my biggest areas that I had to grow and I had to heal and I had so much trauma behind was that for most of my life, I only had one friend. That's it. Just one. And not that I didn't have other acquaintances or that I didn't, have people that I loved and I cared for, but I didn't let anybody in. And I used to hurt people's feelings because when they would reference me as like their friend, I would correct them and be like, we're not friends, we're acquaintances. Because my level of what I considered a friendship was to the depth of my one friend. And my one friend and I were friends since we were 2 years old, okay? We went through traumatic childhoods together, crazy situations growing up. She knew me from the depths of my every ugly part of my soul to the best parts of me. She was with me through every relationship. She was and is an irreplaceable friend. To me, a friendship, it wasn't casual, it wasn't surface level. The deepest type of loyalty that not even family could bring. Like this is how I measured what a friend was to me. And for a long time, this like isolated perception of what a friendship was and not allowing anybody else to get close to me, it worked, right? Until it didn't work anymore. And until we had the most devastating fallout. And I was sitting in the grief of my friendship loss. And I was looking around me and I'm just like, I don't have anybody else. I've never let anybody else in. I had only ever really poured my full heart and everything I loved into one person. Everybody else, sure, I was friendly. We got to know each other on a personal level, but I always held you at arm's length. I didn't trust you. I had the deepest betrayal wounds that you could ever have. And so I was never going to let you in. I was going to give you a chance to hurt me. No way. And when that friendship ended, even as temporary as it was, I realized how codependent I was and how toxic my mindset was and how I had isolated from people who could love me and that I could love and really truly grow deep and meaningful friendships with. And had we had not had that falling out, I would have never allowed anybody else in. And so, well, as devastating as that was, I learned so much about myself and my own codependencies. But here is the kicker, like all of this to say, the friendships that I gained after that fallout, I carried into those relationships the same codependent behaviors, the same toxic expectations of friendships. And it wasn't until I read the Let Them Theory book, which, by the way, was only like I don't know, 7 months ago or whenever she launched it, that my perception and my expectations of my friendships was so freaking twisted. I mean, get this, okay? I had a friend go through deep loss and deep grief, and she ghosted for a season. I felt abandoned. I took it personal. I mean, I didn't lash out or anything, but I was just like, I would never abandon you. And not once, guys, did I even take into consideration that she was going through deep grief. I mean, she had lost the one person in her entire life that ever saw her and took care of her and nurtured her and loved her. I mean, from childhood to adulthood. And how selfish of me to not even realize that, people go through seasons of life and not everybody can fully show up for you. And that doesn't make them a bad friend. So with this second point, you guys, you need to know that people are going to come and go, and life and seasons change, and friendships at some points are going to be super strong and like the solid rock foundation. And other times it's going to be rocky and distant. And this was such a hard lesson. I actually had to call that friend and be like, I am so sorry that I expected you to show up for me when you could probably not even show up for yourself. It was just such a time that I had to grow and learn. And what I learned through the Mel Robbins Let Them Theory book is that there are 3 pillars to a friendship. And these 3 pillars are proximity, timing, and energy. And proximity, you guys, this matters more than we realize. It takes 78 hours with someone, with them, okay, to actually even build a casual friendship. And it takes over 200 hours with that person to build an actual, true, real friendship. 200 hours. Let's think about this from like a child's perspective, like with my daughter. That proximity is built in, right? They're all neighbors. They're all playing all the time. They're all going to school together. Their lives are priorities. It's their friendships. That is a child's priority, is their friendship. And then think about the college stage, right? The friends you had in college. You probably lived in the same dorm or you lived on the same campus. You guys were in a close proximity of each other where you can get those 200 hours in. You probably saw these same people literally over and over and over. You probably had the same classes together. You probably didn't even realize how much time you were actually spending with these people in day-to-day life. But when you hit adulthood, this proximity, it disappears. You're working, you're raising kids, you're managing your life, and then suddenly you're like, what the heck? Why is it so hard to make friends right now? I mean, how many of you moms out there are like, I don't know how to make friends in my 30s. Like, what is this? And the answer is because the proximity is missing. And this was so, gosh, I had to really process this. In this day and age of adulthood, we are not around each other to build that proximity, to build those meaningful friendships anymore. I mean, so proximity is huge. I mean, think about it. 78 hours just to build a casual friendship? That is a lot of time. And speaking of timing, number 2 on the pillar was timing. You will spend in your adulthood more time with your coworkers than with your friends or even your family. And how looking at your work dynamic with your friends, you're not friends with every single person at work. And why? Because your timing is always different. One person like me, I have a baby at home. The other person, my almost 50-year-old friend, she is home and her kids are all grown and our lifestyles are different. Our timing doesn't align with our lifestyle and it leaves it hard for us to nurture the proximity that is needed. And so it's hard to naturally build that connection that is needed to build a true solid foundation. And your timing, it doesn't make you a bad friend. It just means it's not the season right now. And on the timing topic, the truth is friendships, because of timing, they shift all of the time, and people grow in different directions no matter how close you were. Life just sometimes pulls people apart, and expecting your friendships to be forever is the quickest way to hurt and disappoint yourself. And what I had to learn the most through this is I had to stay flexible, I had to stay reasonable, and I had to be proactive about staying connected. I mean, think about it. People have career changes or they fall in love and end up wrapped in this new relationship. And sometimes you kind of you get left on the back burner because they are building something new. Life is taking them in a new direction. Some people are diving into their healing journey and going to therapy. Some people straight up find a new circle of friends that fit the life that they're trying to build or their lifestyle right now. I mean, you think about it and it's like, imagine when you didn't have kids and how easy it was to accommodate everybody and all the plans and doing all the things. And then you have a baby and life changes, your priorities change. And now you're talking about, changing diapers and spit up and not being able to sleep. And that friendship is going to have a shift in it. And the hardest part about this is we can't take these shifts personal. Even though it feels like a personal attack, like when my friend was grieving and I was selfish and didn't realize she was grieving, it felt like a personal attack that I was being abandoned in our relationship. When the truth is she was hurting and none of that had to do with me. And so it happens to all of us, and it can be really hard when it's happening to ourselves to remember that, yes, it can feel confusing and isolating and lonely, but when life is shifting, it's up to you to decide about how you are going to look at friendships in your adulthood. Seasons will change and people will go, but the one thing that stays in your control through and through is that you get to choose how you are going to show up for yourself and how you choose to create and nurture the type of friendships that you need in every stage of your life. And so, timing, it's everything. And it's going to make people come and go, and that's okay. And the last part of that pillar is energy. Sometimes the energy between people, it's just off, right? Like there are people that I could walk into the room and I'm just like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I will probably never be your friend. And that's okay. Our energy, it doesn't align, and you can't force it. You don't have to take it personally. You don't make it your job to fix it like my daughter was trying to do. Like this is exactly what I've been teaching her. Like the energy is not there, sister. Stop trying to fix it. It's okay to let people be where they're going to be. Let them think what they want to think and let the energy just be off. And we have to trust that the people that are going to align with our energy, they're going to be there. And when all of these three pillars, proximity, timing, and energy all align, the friendship, it will naturally thrive. But if one of these three pillars are missing, there's going to be a shift in the friendship. And that doesn't mean you failed or that you're a failure or to take it out on yourself. It just means that's life. And the third point I want to make in this episode is, guys, friendships are the only relationship that it is normalized that when there is a disagreement or there is frustration, that it doesn't need the work, it doesn't need the conversation, the friendships have ended and we're not talking anymore, and that's just life. They take work, they take effort, and they sometimes take having that hard conversation. And if you feel like one of your friendship is drifting away, like for an example, let's say you had a new baby and all of your single friends who don't have children are just kind of drifting away and you miss them. It's okay to have that conversation and to set it up in a way that's not going to make them defensive, but just being like, hey, you know what? I miss you. I miss us. Can we please prioritize like one evening that we can have coffee once a month? Or can we prioritize a weekly phone call or FaceTime call? Or heck, can you just come over and sit with me and the baby every once in a while? I can't really get out right now, but I just miss you and I want to spend this time with you. So oftentimes when you have a partner, these conversations are talked about and you're discussing your frustrations and you're growing and you're learning together. But with friendships, there's like this weird dynamic of these hard conversations aren't needed to be had. And I'm here to tell you that they are, and it's okay to have them. And I just feel like this day and age, it's so normalized for conflict to equal no contact. And it's just so toxic. I hate it so much. So there's so many great friendships that will continue to grow together and to heal and through the conflict. Conflict is a normal, healthy part of any real relationship. And growth happens in any type of relationship in the uncomfortable conversations. So if you find yourself in friendships where you just feel like conflict is starting to rise and your first instinct is to like cut the cord and disconnect and go no contact, I want you to pause and ask yourself these questions, okay? Is this friendship worth fighting for? Am I going to look back in 5 years and miss this person? Is this person someone who's shown up for me before? Have I even given them the chance to hear how I felt? Because the truth is, some of these strongest friendships are built on the hardest conversations. And if both people are willing to show up, listen, and grow, the friendship will actually come out stronger than it was before. And lastly, guys, I want you to remember that negative people will gravitate towards negative people, just like positive, growth-minded people will naturally find each other. And you cannot stay connected to people who live in a victim mindset, who gossip about other people, complain, are passive-aggressive, tearing other people down, constantly comparing themselves to, everyone. We all know the one-uppers that I'm talking about. These type of people, you can't be around and expect it to not affect you. Who you are around is who you will become. You cannot be unequally yoked when it comes to mindset and energy, because no matter how positive you are, a constantly negative person, they will pull you down with them. It's like constantly trying to swim with somebody who doesn't know how to swim. And so therefore they're clinging to you like their life depends on it. And they are just pulling you down and sinking you down with them. Eventually you are going to find yourself exhausted, emotionally drained, and frustrated. And this is why when you start to grow and you start to heal and you start to work on yourself, you are naturally going to lose people. And the people that you are losing are the people who refuse to do the same. This is about you choosing peace over the chaos. So all of these things, you guys, are just so important. And at the end of the day, friendship isn't always easy. Sometimes it's messy. It requires so much grace for not only others, but even yourself. Some friendships are going to last a lifetime and others will only last for a season. And none of this defines your worth. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to choose peace over proximity. You're allowed to want deeper connections than the ones that you have right now. And you're allowed to have the hard conversations about the things that matter to you. But most importantly, you are always allowed to choose yourself. You don't need to shrink yourself to be included. You don't need to chase people who are not going to chase you back. And you don't need to hold on to friendships that aren't good for you because of guilt or because of history. True friendships are built on honesty, alignment, and mutual effort. So whether you're grieving that friendship that faded, or reflecting on the areas that you've fallen short, or realizing that, hey, it's time for me to open myself up to friendship again, just know this: the right people will find you. And when they do, you will not feel like it is forced, and you won't have to chase them. You're gonna feel like you're at home. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for letting me just share my ugly truths with you guys. I'm telling you, it is just, I just have so much growing and healing to do. And through every lesson, I just love being able to share my heart and be vulnerable and share it with you guys, because I know if I'm going through this, you're probably going through this. And that is the point of this whole podcast, is we are learning, we're growing, and we are healing together. I'm your friend and your host, Renee Spencer, and I will see you in the next episode. I love you guys. Thanks for being my friend.